friends, here we are, Tezos versus Bitcoin, Tezos versus dollar coin. What do we have? Bitcoin pairing? Well, Bitcoin's strength over the last day has seen it rise towards the top side, just checking with the prices there now, and we're currently, in amongst that 11,900 territory, which has pushed the pricing on this pairing down the way a wee bit, giving up one of those dynamics where you can see that over here on the dollar pairing, while we have higher lows coming in as part of what potentially could be an upward trend potentially, and we've got a not yet put in a higher high over here, which is fine considering that this hasn't gone any higher than it. We don't have any hidden bearish divergence, and this isn't we don't have any hidden bearish divergence necessarily, and we also don't have visible bearish divergence. That's cool. We could have the potential for hidden bullish divergence compared to our previous lows areas potentially. No, not quite there on that one, but still, there is this sort of positive case to be made here, easier on the dollar pairing than it is on the Bitcoin pairing, bearing in mind that the Bitcoin price has gone towards the top side and this is then pushed down the way. But what you can say in terms of the warning signs to tie this together for folk is that over here what you have is a low compared to this low, and it's very much higher here as part of what is obviously a downward trend, putting in a high here, low here, a lower high, and a lower low. And in this period of time here, what do you see? Well, you see bullish divergence between these lows on the go. So quite often people ask me why we do look at why do you look at the Bitcoin pairing and the dollar pairing on this coin? I think that there makes it very, very, very transparent. You should be able to tell that for yourself. You should be able to take that information and run with it to be able to inform your trading decisions over the next wee while. I'm pretty sure you should, but let's just bear in mind that there is a cautionary tale to be had here, looking at the wicks here of this and saying, well, that between the wicks, that we have between the wicks here, we've got a sort of doubly bottom area, and if we go down here and do it and push past this zone at 27k now, perhaps that's a sort of failed type of doubly bottom type thing, and maybe this could push on further down the way, and that would be frustrating. But if we actually do this and see this lower low coming in here and potentially operating up as some sort of head of a head and shoulders, or indeed an Adam and Eve or whatever, or some sort of W pattern on the go here, where this could be the starting down here, or an XABCT thing, or whatever you want to look at, then of course that's interesting and whatever, and that could be the case. Now, pushing towards the top side though, if we do move past this area in RSI and actually close it out and move back into the white parallel channel in the background, then that could be very positive. Now, if Bitcoin stays positive in its bullish stance that it is currently in right now, then maybe we need to see a degree of extra positivity over here on the Bitcoin or the Tezos to dollar pairing in order just to see that push towards the top side, having come in yet again and touched off perfectly off of the lower side of our pitchfork, giving us that that sort of yet again type bottom here, where and giving us the potential, like I was saying before, for hidden bullish divergence. There isn't actually that on there. But it's just, I was looking for it and it's not that, but, it feels like it could have been. So looking at the DMI, how are we doing though? It would give you a degree of sort of saying, hey, be careful trading in this area. Of course, be careful because, we've not really actually re-established anything at the minute. And indeed, the trend, as it were, has cooled off. But then again, the trend as it was a downward trend, so maybe we see this turning around again. And what I want to see, of course, is this positive not cross back down below the negative and the ADX tick up to the top side and overtake both of those lines going up the way over the overall and then pushing up. So then your top side targets become 357, 396, $4, 430, and then thereafter call it 465 for instance. And then your downward side targets in terms of this thing have got to be where the 21 EMA is, looking there at 332. That's not a million miles away, just that 1% down, but it's that's worth knowing. 326 there afterwards if you're looking for a move down the way as of a little bit more note. But then again, this is where we have this resistance and everything else, or support or profit taking line or whatever you want to call it. Fake out territory on this thing could be down towards a retest of this parallel channel zone, and indeed where we have the other parallel channel, which is this purple one, which is maybe not so visible to you right now, but goes from left to right. in there. This zone here, right down towards there at $3, is going to have to be considered sort of somewhat fake outy. And if we've got this happening, then I want to see if this is coming in with a third instance of bullish divergence on this one. If that were to happen, it would be quite likely at that point. So let's just see how that plays out. And that's really, you know, the majority of what we're going to have to look at in terms of this pairing or this coin at the minute. Of course, we have other things, pardon me, to look at. The bullish divergence here in this downward trend that we had over there on HIT BTC played out as much as it made the market go sideways for a while, and that's really what we can see here. Now there's higher highs and higher lows. If we take off all the drawings, it'll be easy for you to see. This high this most recent high is higher than the previous one. This low and was, you know, potentially higher than the previous one, and you know, it's this sort of, you know, struggling here but not really putting in that divergence. You know, like we're doing okay overall, and in fact as well in terms of hidden bearish divergence, we're lower than the previous one over there, so we're not struggling too much, you know, compared to how we were before on the way down here. So this was hidden bearish divergence here compared to its previous one, and we saw the prices then suffer afterwards. But then between this low and all these other lows over here, you know, as part of this downward trend, you know, we didn't have that follow through you might look to. Comparing this low right here in terms of its actual low, and there you could say that was you know, an equal low, and then this is then therefore bullishly divergent. So there's a lot of that sort of stuff. You can see though between as well that there's no hidden bearish divergence as well in terms of the MACD. There is again, you know, just a slight bit of this little slight, you know, bullish type divergence as part of this downward trend which saw us turn to this point, and this is what's leading us up to where saying, well, look here, the 50 and the 200 have crossed, and we've come up and been resisted by the 200 simple here in the 4 hour time frame, gone back down. Will we be able to test the 50, move up and retest the 200, take out this previous high, move on up, do it without any bearish divergence, move towards the top side and start bleeding that over across the lower and higher time frames? Or are we going to find ourselves resisted by, you know, the 21 EMA up above our heads? These are all spanned out in a more or less bearish formation in terms of the major moving averages, and this in terms of the 24 hour time frame means that, you know, that we're finding ourselves sandwiched between a downward sloping 21 EMA and a sideways to maybe perhaps potentially upward sloping. But if it doesn't, you know, if it doesn't maintain that, it'll start to slope downwards as well. 55 EMA, the 50 simple moving towards the top side and kind of like, you know, showing us where our closes and opens and stuff are happening in and around about that zone. I want to be opening and closing above that price action, then above that price action to be opening and closing above that 50 simple, so that we can try up again, push past the 21 EMA and go towards those $3.30 targets to then try and turn around and go past our previous high at the same or this one perhaps probably at the same time as pushing past the high here on the RSI, and actually, you know, coming in with something a bit more interesting across the board on all these oscillators, having gone down towards oversold territory, which is very much lower than the previous one over here, which could ultimately spell out, you know, this low here. If we look at this as being an upward trend and a higher low over here compared to this low, and this low coming down as far as that, this one coming down as far as that we have this going right down to, you know, very, very low. Looking over towards the left, you can see how this is very low, you know, and that is actually a hidden bullish divergence, continuation divergence to signals that there could be some upward movement if we do what we're looking for it to do. Bearing in mind that we have a slightly different picture over here in the Bitcoin pairing, but that could also be interpreted positively. But as well, we can also look towards these things like this parallel channel and say maybe that's not the best, you know. But as well, again, I always talk about these things as being subjective, having a gestalt nature. If I actually make this previous area here fit in with it properly, you know, if I actually make it fit in properly, then what you're looking at is that we've come in here and so far we're still within it. So we're still within the bounds of that, and that's a nice positive note to finish off on, bearing in mind that the prices are 28,000 at the minute, and of course that is really kind of one of those Alamo areas that we spoke about in the past. Okie dokie, of course, needed to be spoken about in terms of a bearish scenario, because looking at 24-hour time frame, you can see this was clearly bearish divergence between these two highs here. That this playing out this way is not so bad, and overall we've not really done quite yet fully properly yet confirmed, you know, we've not pushed past this zone yet. We have tested it, sure, and we're coming just above it. If we push on past it, then maybe some more downside. Maybe we look towards these other targets and go for a higher low, you know, perhaps another sort of 10% down from where we are now, or indeed for even as much as 20, you know, that could happen. But here we are. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate appreciate it. That's going to do for today's episodes. Nice one. Get to go on and move on and edit them. Join me in the Discord. Join up here by hitting the join button down below. Oh, got to give a shout out to somebody because I think somebody else did that. Give me a second here, boys and girls. Looking over here, see more. Boo! Somebody did something. Somebody did something. Somebody did something. Tony Wright. No, is this up to date? I thought this was up to date. Oh, wait a minute. What's up to date here? What's changed? 1 month. Yes. Okay, Ekram Karatas, it's now a month ago that you became a member. You're first fun to have made it to that 1 month membership thing. So that's cool. That's great. Thanks so much for doing that. I really do appreciate it. It's another coffee on you this month. That's lovely. Maybe that'll pay for me to take a girl out for coffee. How about that? That'd be romantic. Like I say, I don't need any of this sort of stuff, but I really do appreciate it because the gesture is very much, very, very, very positively received. You can join me over here in the Discord. We'd really appreciate that. And of course, there's lots of good things to be had here. There's indicators and whatnot that I share, the ones down below that I use. I've shared them. Lots of good stuff. There's chats to be had from. So you can get your bots to give you charts. You can make jokes about the moon. And there's plenty more where that came from. Oh, there he is. Dump it. Activate. Crab 17. Perhaps the heaviest things we lift and carry are not our weights, but our bags. One of these math things and her face. And that lovely lol to everybody for all of your good stuff. So there's lols to be had. There's of course updates about the technical analysis. We've been saying this for a long time. Bots control the market. Okay, Pete, that's actually, there's a lot of that, a lot of truth in what you're saying there. I think most new projects probably on Uniswap are run by AI. Sorry, cringe AI, cringe. Yeah, well worth a read. A great article that's been shared by somebody. It's worth a read, so that's great. And TA all over the place by everybody. Fundamentals getting talked about. What's this here? More TA that people do. So there's a lot of value to be had here. Like it's talking about spin-off coins, spin-off discussions from the Hot Alts thread. These have all got their own discussions on the go all the time. Hot Alts in here, talking with what could be other good investment opportunities. Loads of great stuff in that Discord. So go along and enjoy it. Non-crypto. Banksy, legend. What's he done? Oh, the boat thing. Oh, so there's lots of good chat there about other stuff. Really, there's loads of great chat in here. Then there's the tea room, and you can have a chat with people to do with crypto in this area. Lots of stuff. Let's just finish off by reading what Niran said. Honestly, if you're in it for more than a few months, it's a good idea to hodl. My friend who sold his 20,000 link for less than $1 is a prime example. Wow, yeah, that's right. I read that story. 20,000 link. Let's just find out what your friend would get if they'd held on to right now. The dollar price, 15.84. 20,000 times 15.84. $316,800. He sold it for less than 20 grand. He's feeling pretty haunted now. Catch you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. See you in the future. Thanks so much. Share it with your friends. YouTube.com/RockyOutcrop. The place to be. Bada bing, bada bee.